Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Now, since the dawn of cinema, there have been all kinds of different monster movies, all kinds of different monsters. Godzilla, King Kong, Jaws. Yeah, I know Jaws is technically just a really big shark, but still you get what I'm going with here. And there's also been several attempts to capitalize on the popularity of these characters with cheap ripoffs. However, this movie is unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's Ape, or A-P-E. And look, it says right here on the poster, not to be confused with King Kong. And how could you confuse this with King Kong? I mean, look at how original all this stuff is. King Kong never did any of this. Did King Kong ever fight a giant shark and a monster snake? I'm actually asking, I don't really remember the movie. But whatever, who cares? Look how cool the artwork is. And you know what that means? If the artwork is cool, it automatically means the movie is super good. I mean, why would anyone put all this work into selling you a movie that sucks? That never happens. By the way, I'm going to tell you right now, all the stuff you see on this poster happens in the movie. Whether or not it's as intense as it looks on the poster, that's up for you to decide. I can't make that decision for you. So let's get right into it, shall we? The movie starts on this boat off the coast of Korea, where they are trying to transport a giant 36-foot tall ape to be put on display at Disneyland. And they're like, don't worry, the gas that we use to put him to sleep should keep him knocked out for 5 days. And then this literally happens right after.
Oh shit.
Wow, can't you just feel the intensity in that line delivery? This is gonna be an action blockbuster of epic proportions. And also, look how big the ape is compared to the boat. Look how big his hand is. How'd they even get him into the boat in the first place? So the giant ape emerges from the water and, I don't know, just kind of starts bobbing around a bit, but get ready because this movie just keeps coming with more action. Now we get this epic fight between the ape and the giant shark, which totally isn't already dead. Wow, what incredible production value. It's hard to believe that this is most likely a man in a gorilla costume throwing around a dead fish. Well, it would be nice to know what is happening next, but I can't really see. I think the ape is approaching this building, but I actually think this is a really good move from a cinematography perspective. So let's just say that this is your lens, okay? The less light that you have coming through the lens, the less the film is going to be exposed, and the less likely the audience will be able to see just how horrible this all looks. I do have to hand it to the production though. From what I can see, some of these miniatures aren't too bad, but then the ape will go and do something which ruins the illusion and makes it brutally clear that these are in fact miniatures. Also, intercutting footage of people that was shot during the day doesn't usually go in a scene that clearly takes place at night. Points for creativity though. Tying a string to a small prop and pulling it towards the camera is kind of a neat effect. The only problem is that this movie does it to death. So now a famous movie star, Marilyn Baker, has arrived in Korea to shoot a new movie and starts talking directly into the camera. And this was just not a good decision. The audience should be a fly on the wall. This just makes the whole thing kind of uncomfortable. Breaking the fourth wall can work in some situations, especially if the movie is playing things extremely tongue-in-cheek. But in this situation, they just start treating the camera as if it's a news camera in the scene. And there's been nothing to really establish that before. So she meets up with her boyfriend Tom, and you can tell it must have been a windy day. Not because of her hair, but because the reflector they used to bounce the sunlight seems to be waving all over the place. Meanwhile, a farmer finds a giant footprint in the ground and goes over to inspect it when, oh my god, suddenly the ape is standing there. Wow, it's amazing. You think he would have noticed the 36-foot monster at some point before this, but I guess not. Then we have this soldier who, I guess, forgot how to drive somehow. Actually, I take that back. He must have been distracted because when he gets out of the car, it looks like the whole base has been shrunken somehow. Tiny trees, tiny fires, tiny buildings. And so for the next little while, the movie just becomes these like funny little mishaps with the ape. These kids break into an abandoned amusement park and play around for a while until they finally look up and notice the giant ape standing there. And this is what I find so funny about this whole thing. Throughout this movie, people just seem to have a hard time noticing the 36-foot tall ape. Like it just snuck up on them somehow. So here's another battle. It's time for the fight between the ape and the monster reptile. Pretty sure it's just a regular sized snake, but whatever, here we go. This is bound to be epic. So the ape grabs the snake from the tree and just throws it at the camera. Oh man, the snake looks pissed. I bet this is gonna get crazy. Oh no, it's over. Now I have to say, this fight was a far cry from the one the poster implied we would get. But I do have to say that the ape did vanquish the snake. So that is what the poster said would happen. Anyways, these guys are fighting. Not sure who they are or why they are fighting. Oh, wait, look, they're shooting a movie. Okay, well, that makes sense. But as soon as the ape shows up, they start shooting flaming arrows at it. Over and over and over again. This just goes on forever. And if this ape is supposed to be 36 feet tall, these arrows should be much smaller than this. Moving on. Okay, what's this guy doing? Hang gliding? All right. Then there's this cow. Okay, give me a break. Look, there are things I'm willing to look past. There's things I'm willing to forgive. And I have seen a lot of terrible attempts at miniatures in movies before. But what the hell is this? Why even try this? This isn't even remotely close. Just look at the scale difference here. You mean to tell me that we're just supposed to believe that the grass grew like 2 feet from one shot to the next? Come on. So I'm not even really gonna go through the plot of this movie because it's razor thin. And I bet you can already imagine what happens. Just a blatant ripoff of King Kong. At some point, the ape's gonna see the woman, he's gonna kidnap her, blah, blah, blah. I would say about 75% of this movie is stuff that could bore you to sleep, and the other 25% is just stuff that you can only laugh at. They keep showing footage of people running and escaping the area as the ape gets near, again and again and again. This is the majority of the movie. And the worst part is, there's like 3 music tracks throughout this entire movie, and they just keep them on repeat. It's enough to create what I like to call angry boredom. I actually get it quite a bit when I'm watching movies for this show. And it's exactly how it sounds. I just get extremely irritated and angry with how boring the movie is. But the music just seems to twist the knife sideways. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. And I love how they can't even get the scale right with the doll. Is she the size of his hand? Or is she the size of his entire forearm? Details, people. Yeah, Mark, that's the thing that ruins the movie for sure. So finally, the military gets called in to fight this thing. And I bet you can probably guess what's gonna happen. He's gonna start swatting at the helicopters. Wow, I can't imagine where they got this idea. Totally wasn't inspired by the movie that you're not supposed to confuse this with. By the way, check out the detail on the fake hands here. It's almost as if they were making it and then near the end they kind of just ran out of fur, but just said, screw it, let's just go with it. So he sets Marilyn down and she goes and hides in a cave, and this makes so little sense, it's infuriating. He's trying to grab her and pull her out of the cave, but he can't for some reason, which I don't understand. Look, she's right beside the entrance. It's not like you can't reach her. She's right there, just grab her. They send out these paratroopers, and I'm really not sure what they were going for here. What direction did they give the guy in the suit? Yeah, just pretend you're rocking out at a concert. Not sure what's going on here. It's like he's pretending to swim. And again, this goes on for an eternity until Marilyn escapes with Tom and the ape destroys the helicopters. I'm at a loss here, guys. I really don't know what else there is to say after that. There's 30 minutes left in this movie somehow. 30 minutes left, which means that I'd been watching the movie for about an hour. As I was writing it, it felt like I had been watching it for 3 months. Well, what's this now? Oh, more people running. People escaping the town. More people running. Oh, yes. More, please. I'm so entertained. Oh, yes, more. The same shit over and over again. Just give me more. Looks like they tried to do some sort of a key here to superimpose the ape on top of this footage. Not exactly a roaring success. And now here's where I can actually give the movie some props, because I feel like this sequence is where they put in the most work. They actually constructed the entire street out of miniatures. Of course, the ape is looking for Marilyn, but she's putting on some kind of a puppet show. And I love how they can hear the whole city being destroyed by this thing, and they're like, all right, yeah, don't, just keep entertaining the kids. It'll go away by itself. And of course, he smashes into the house and grabs her. Here's that convincing hand again. I can't tell, but I think the director liked the idea of shots where things were coming right at the camera. I mean, you do it the first time, and it's like, oh, that's kind of a cool shot. But then you just have to do it again and again. You just couldn't help yourself, could you? It gets to the point where you're like, all right, yeah, I no longer like the shot anymore. In fact, I hate it because you just had to milk this thing for all it's worth. Like I said before, these shots are done to death. Look at this guy. He's actually smiling as if he's excited because he's gonna be in the movie. So for about 10 minutes, they shoot directly at the lens and the ape throws rocks at it. And I love the foam boulders here. You can actually see white pieces of foam flying off of these things all over the place. And then finally, the worst looking miniature in the whole movie shoots the ape, and that's pretty much the end of it. Watching this movie is incredibly frustrating because it feels like the movie never really knows what it's going for. At times it feels like it's trying to be a serious monster movie, at other times it's trying to be a ripoff of King Kong, and then at other times it's just not taking itself seriously at all. So the whole thing just feels incredibly disingenuous. This middle finger shot is almost a perfect metaphor for what feels like this movie's attitude towards the audience. This movie was originally titled The New King Kong, but after a lawsuit was filed, they had to change it to Super Ape, and then they changed it to APE, which stands for Attacking Primate Monster, which apparently was trying to be a parody of MASH, because MASH took place in Korea. So even the title of this thing can't take itself seriously. Again, just another one of those movies where I'm just so happy it's in the rear view, because I have to watch them multiple times as I write them. So I hope you guys had a lot more fun watching this video than I did watching this video. And as usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.